Alright, here we're doing a replay review of Step Gamer I'm Stuck.
Me too.
Apparently my wife is also stuck. I'm Julian, in-game name Papercut. I do replay reviews to help people out. If you're interested in doing one, check my description below and message me. Today, Step Gamer I'm Stuck is Gold 3 Maliams. He actually posted on the AE4 Reddit stating that he often struggles with Roost. So I'm going to look at his game and give him my thoughts. I played a little bit of Malian. I wouldn't say I'm a Malian expert, but watching this game, there's definitely some basic things he could do no matter the SIP he plays that would have really helped increase his chance to winning, because the person he's playing against is a Plat 1, and he actually does a pretty good job. So let's talk about the things he could do better. So he starts off. So he said his goal is to do a fast castle, which Malians is actually, that's not a crazy common thing to do right now, but it's still viable if you do it well. I mean, at this league, I mean, anything's workable as long as you play it well. Does his chop 3, gets 1 on gold, sets up his... And here's where you make your first small mistake. You're going to see in a second, but you should bring your scout back and drop those sheep off. Then scout down and go up this side. Reason being is in a second, you're going to run out of sheep and you're going to start shooting these deer. The space you have between your TC and the deer, while the deer gathering is increased, and that's good, this is too much space and you're losing value by how much your villagers have to walk, especially because you don't have wheelbarrow. So what you should have done is bring your scout over and drop the sheep right next to the town center. And if you want to gather the sheep, you could have pushed the sheep in with your scout. The way you do that is you notice the deer respond to movement. If you push your scout behind the deer will run away from your scout, so you angle your scout down here, push up towards the TC, and move it in. I would do that at the end, though. Like, first you should scout as much as you can, get some deer, know what your opponent's doing, run back, do the deer push in, or you could do the deer push in with with your first military unit. But that's going to cost you some time in the age up because your villagers are going to be so far away gathering deer. Like, this is insane how far you're making them walk down here. And also, you kind of do this weird scouting pattern where you kind of go up and you run back. A key is you never want to scout. In the beginning, you never want to move your scout in an area you've already been, because this is your prime time to getting all of the sheep you potentially want. So you should be scouting these. If you want to go back, come up here, go left, scout the dark areas, cut back up, drop off your deer, cut back down, go up and scout. Okay, you're losing time here, gathering so far away. Okay, drop off your deer. Good, I'm glad you moved your villagers back and you get that. Go from Manticore. So, you say in your message that you want a fast castle and attack. Yet, the way you set up doesn't feel fast castle-y to me. Like if you truly want a fast castle, you are not macroing, and when I say the word macro, I mean how you set up your economy for your goals. If your goal is the fast castle, you need to focus more on food and gold to get up to that Farimba garrison. Especially because if you want to go Farimba, you actually build units with gold. Food is not that big of an issue for you. And knowing as the Malians, you can just rely on cows. You should be getting as much gold as possible to get to the Farimba garrison, to then use the Farimba garrison. All you need early on is one. You need enough villagers on wood to get 1 barracks and 1 archery range, because you want to upgrade your units in those while your Farimba is pumping out units. That's where the advantage of the Malian fast castle comes from. And you need to go early enough that your units can actually take advantage of this. Now, the thing I will say is a fast castle on hideout with infantry is a little questionable, because since the map is so big, you fast castle, you get your infantry up, you get them all the way to their TC, and they can probably set up adequate defenses to themselves fast castle up, or castle up. So usually fast castle on hideout is done with cavalry because you can move so quick, but you might be able to make it work. But you should basically just keep 4 to 5 on wood. That's enough to get your I guess, since you want pit mines, 6 on wood. 5 to 6 on wood will be enough for you to get the few production buildings you need, then you should put everyone else on gold and food. My suggestion is like 6 on gold with the 2 pit mines up, and then the rest just on food until you age up. Because you're going to notice you're going to be floating, which floating means you have extra. You're going to have so much extra wood. So one thing you need to now figure out is what is your opponent doing? Because if the Roost decides to hard push you, and you're not ready for that, that could be the end of the game. So what you need to do is run your scout down here and see what is he doing. Is he dropping a stable? If he's dropping a stable, that means he's going knights. Is he going stones? He's getting 2 TC. Okay, that buys you a little bit more time to do that fast castle. So the point being is, by the time your opponent hits age 2, you need to go to their base and see what are they doing. You need to know what they're doing so you can respond. You can still do your plan, but you need to tweak your plan to survive. I want you to notice how much wood you're getting. It's gonna get this pit mine up, but you don't need 16 on wood to get your pit mine up. Just do 5, 6 on wood. Without anyone on gold, you almost have the gold for castle. Now, the bonus of having this extra gold is to get upgrades, the economic upgrades. Once again, those economic upgrades will help you get to castle and in castle sustain on 1 TC, or get military upgrades. But you still want 4 to 5 on gold because, as I can see you're doing, you want to get a few cows. Cows are going to be the primary way you maintain your food economy without leaving your base. So you still don't know what your enemy's doing. So let's actually see, what is your enemy doing? Your enemy went 2 TC and has a stable down. So there's a chance they're going to try to get knights into your base. Now the bonus is they did a really passive TC. So they're either going, if they go out on the food, they will be open for raids, or they're going to have to spend all of their resources. They spend all of their resources building farms, which buys you time. So here's what's great about Hideout. Hideout encourages people in a way to be passive because they're afraid of putting a TC out here. But if they do that and they run out of food, they have to come out on the map, or they're severely limited on how many units they can make. That's your opening. Where does this all come from? So a key part of improving the game is thinking about what you want to do and what your opponent is doing and how those two things mesh. So at the start of the game, when you come in, you want a fast castle. You look at and they see the Roost. So what are the Roosts going to want to do? Well, the Roosts are going to want to get on the map. They're going to want to get the bounty, which I didn't notice were you killing the deer or not, but you want to make sure you kill the deer as you're moving. But the Roosts, they're one of the most malleable civs. So that's why scouting them is even more important, because you actually don't really know which way they're going to want to go. There's no surefire way each Roost player goes. Unlike Delhi. Delhi will always go Sacred Sites. They're going to fight you on your feudal, go Sacred Sites, and try to get a castle. Roost can do fast castle. They can fight you on your feudal. So scouting them is even more important. But going 2 TC, they're going to run through these sheep pretty quick. They're making double the villagers. So you getting fast castle and getting units here, your first goal would be just to keep him in his base, get units around on the food sources, starve him out, and then start raiding, maybe getting rams and pushing in once you've built that military mass. So let's see what you do. By now you should be getting, honestly, you should be getting close to fast castle. So you should be getting close to your castle if you had macro correctly. Getting out a few Donzos is good. You really only need 3 or 4 just to get out the castle. You're getting more cows, great. You don't need that many yet because you still have 4 sheep. So you have so much extra wood, you don't need this wood. You don't need this yet. So how do I macro correctly? My suggestion, what I've done that helps me, one, I try to actually narrate my games as I play. It helps me think through, makes me ask the questions, makes me react better. But you need to ask yourself, I would say like every 10 to 15 seconds, just take one moment and go, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to fast castle. Is my resources set up to that? No, my resources are not set up for that. I have way too much wood. You need to spend that wood, what you're doing, you're building production. But if you're going to go for Rimba, you don't need more than this at the early stages. I would have taken these 7 villagers, walked them out and put them on berries immediately. You still have no one on gold, so your gold supply is super low. This isn't, at this point, you're not fast castling. You are just normal casting. Comes into the night. This wall is pretty nifty, I'll give you that. But you could have just walled here with that extra wood, force him to run into the center. Or you could have stuck a villager out early and walled this half right here, and stuck one out and walled this over here. But since your scout's sitting right here, you had no idea that was coming. But that wall was nifty. Why are we cattle ranching right now? Once again, this is a drain on resources. You need to get to castle now, or else his 2 TC will start to pay off more and more and more. Do these cattle ranches in castle. Okay, so now look at your floating. You're floating 800 wood. What is this used for? Because you don't need wood to age up. Wood is useful for siege. You can't use siege right now. You're age 3 except for rams. Wood's good for basic units, archers, so like ranged units. But you're not making archers. You're making a few jab, but those are gold based. So you don't need this wood. So ask yourself, do I need 14 on wood? I don't. Move them off. So you go to do a little poke here, which once again, this doesn't sound like the plan you need. You said you want to do a fast castle, but you're fighting, you're trying to push him back on feudal when he's 2 TC defensive. So you won't be able to do much here. You finally move out. This wall is also unneeded. You're doing a wall and wasting a lot of wood on a wall that you want to think about your walls and what are you protecting? This wall, all you're protecting is gold mine and berry bushes. If you put a wall here, you protect everything under that wall. It buys you time to respond. This wall doesn't do much for you unless the opponent is literally raiding your gold, in which you could respond with units. Don't build walls unless they're protecting a significant resource. Now's a good time to wall. You have him in his base. You catch him on the age up, but he still got the age up. You're on 40 vills. He's on 51. That's only gonna get worse. Now, the resources of the Maliams are giving you advantage. You're getting free food and stuff. So now you have Farimba. Here's the thing for Farimba. Farimba requires gold, lots and lots of gold. You need to be massing onto gold here. You need to be getting gold right now. You gotta upgrade your units going into castle, and then you need to start making out of the Farimba consistently, which requires a lot of gold. This food is nice, but you're actually not going to need all this food unless you're producing out of these, which is a waste. If you were using the Farimba, produce with the Farimba. The only thing you can't produce with the Farimba is stable. So get 2 stable. That's fine. Let's see. You notice how much wood you have? Now, if you want to go siege, which is fine, put down a siege workshop and start using that wood. But at that moment, you didn't need it. Macro up to the thing you're going to. If you watch high-level players play, you notice they are always on 0 resources until their goal is to move up into the next age, or they're saving for something in particular. But they're never sitting on floated resources because they're producing units or going to the next age, which allows them to be effective. And here's the thing, though, you're still up on him, actually. Even with all those things I suggested, you're still up because the Malian economy is, you get a bunch of free stuff and it's really, really strong. But you're not out of the game by any means. You guys are both castle. You have a lot of your free resources set up. So here's the thing. You're not producing your Farimba because you don't have enough gold. You have so much food, but producing with these units out of your stables is actually kind of wasteful. You also don't know what unit comp. You just saw he's running horse archers. So you should be producing javelin throwers out of your Farimba, which is 540 gold, and upgrading them here so you're not wasting time with the Farimba. I like how you started getting relics, though. That was nice. But you need another scout over here to see what else he's doing. So you're responding to this horse archers. A lot of javelin throwers would be great. Great, you got your food pumping, but now, since you went for Farimba, but you don't have the gold to produce for Farimba, you need to produce from your production, but you don't actually have enough production anymore. Partly because you used all your wood on building these walls that aren't really that helpful. You could have spent less money just walling this side. So think about, what am I walling? What wall actually protects me the best? Because he can still walk into your base. These walls don't stop him from doing it. Cool, so let's see your comp. You have archers and donzos and sofas. Not a bad comp here. I think javelin throwers, when you saw the horse archers, would have been the move. But you also don't know what you're walking into here, right? You haven't scouted ahead. You haven't seen his comp in a minute. So you're just kind of testing here. So I see what you get. You're finally getting enough on gold. You notice you're still struggling to continuously produce out of the Farimba. You need about that 30. But you need more production down. If you're going to have this much food, get more production down. Start massing warrior scouts. Warrior scouts would actually do good against horse archers. So you catch him out here, looking good. Now you see he has men at arms, which are counted right now by the sofas. Back, and here comes his bigger army. And what does he have? We're gonna pause. He is overtaking you. Why? Because he now has 78 villagers and he's gone to farms. He's actually never actually left. Well, he's over here getting wood. But he actually never left. Actually, I bet this was a boar originally. Yeah, he got the boar. Which, if you fast castle, he should never be able to get on these resources. That boar was free for him. But he had time to set up all these farms without being punished because your fast castle actually wasn't fast. Now he's able. Now he can pump gold units because all of these hunting cabins give him a lot of gold, and he hasn't even used his gold yet. Like that's how much extra gold he has. He knows your comp, so he's gonna get a Magnell out. He's going heavy on the men at arms because you don't have Musafatis. These archers are going to do nothing unless if you get poison arrows. Did you get poison arrows? Okay, you have poison arrows, so never mind. The archers will do great. Massing archers with poison arrows is a great strategy. So your Magnell shots just rip through, but you attack them with your sofas. That's great. But then your sofas aren't there to tank. So then even though the poison arrows are there, the men at arms are going to come and tear down your archers. Come back with reinforcements. But here's where you run into your problem. You can't reinforce fast enough. Why? Because you don't have enough gold to produce consistently out of the Farimba, and you have so much food because you did this cow boom for no reason. And you can't support this cow boom. You have 41 on food, but you don't have enough production. So what this means to me is, so you said you feel like you're getting overwhelmed. You are getting overwhelmed because you can't use the resources you're creating. You have 7 cattle ranches producing 109 food a minute, and then you have 41 on food. And only 29 on gold, when gold is the primary way you're going to produce units out of your Farimba. Let's see here. So much food. This food would be great if you had like 12 production buildings. But you're producing out of this. You're producing sofas as well. Each sofa is costing you 60 gold, which is making it so you can't produce out of your Farimba. So you gotta choose what you're focusing on. I agree, you can't just produce out of the Farimba forever, but early on, you can make most of your army out of that, and then build. But if you want a cow boom, your strategy's different. You should have built the cow landmark, and then produce out of normal production with all your food. You try to do 2 different strategies almost, which is now causing you to be unable to. Let's look at his production. 3 barracks, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at all this production. So he's producing a lot. I'm sorry, this is his food. My bad. I was looking at his food. My bad. Well, actually, let's see your food. My bad. My bad. I now need to re-say what I thought because I didn't realize I was on him. But he's using his resources. He has production. Let's actually look at your resources. I apologize on that rant. It still holds that. Look at all this food you have. You get 797 food a minute just from your cow boom, but you can't produce enough units. You actually have a bunch of gold, but you're not consistently producing. So at this point, you have enough gold to imp. But what you've done basically is you've done an uh-oh. You've done an uh-oh age up. An uh-oh age up is when you didn't macro correctly, so now you have all these extra resources, but that was an accident. So really, you shouldn't go imp here, because you're going to get steamrolled. But he's able to go imp because he has the resources for it, because he hasn't been pressured. You gotta rally everything here and just try to produce enough. What's his comp? Musafadis would do great here. Musafadis take out veteran spearmen and men at arms. You should go, then you should do Musafadis and archers. Mass archers. Which you did. You win Musafadi, you win archers. But now he's pumping. And he's trying to get. Look at this. Think about how many units you could make with this. You're pumping out the perimeter, which is great, but you need more production to use all these resources you have. You're actually pushing back. Back up. His mangonels. You have nothing to take out his mangonels. Where's your siege workshop? You have one. There's your springhold, but it's too late. You need back the units up. Taking fights. When to take a fight is a key skill. You took a fight that you weren't actually ready to take. If you watch high-level players, they will sit in their base. If they're getting pushed, they will sit in their base and they will wait until they think they can actually take a fight before they absolutely have to take it. The key here is that, look how long he has. It takes him so long to send units across down here that when he does, you can build up your units faster because you're rallying really close, and then you take the fight when you're sure you can win. You're actually going to win this fight, and he just walks down. So to summarize some of the key things here. 1, if you follow through on your strategy, you want a fast castle, macro 2 fast castle. Have only a few on wood to get a basic production and get to castle as fast as possible. That's where the Farimba pays off. You can get a lot of units in their face immediately. 2, scouting. Make sure you're scouting well enough so you know what your opponent's doing and change your plan accordingly. 3, macro production. Macro to your goal, as well as take time to think about what resources you haven't followed through on that. 4, defending. To wall up where it's actually protecting large swaths of your territory and not these little pockets to waste your resources. Yes, you could have microed the fight better, but I think you actually had the ability to win that way earlier if you had identified what's his weakness. His weakness is going to be his food. He either has to go out or he has to spend a lot of resources building up in here, which he did, but you never punished him for doing that. Imagine if you had fast castle really fast, got here, and was just flooding Musafadi into his base and killing his villagers while setting up these farms. That's the dream. Anyway, I think you did great. I think you have doing some small fixes is going to improve you really quickly. The Malians are a tough system, so what you need to prepare for, actually check your history. You've had a loss streak recently. Happens to me right now. I'm in a loss streak right now. The Malians are a very difficult civ. Now, they have a lot of potential because they're such a unique civ, so stick with it. But every time you lose, watch your replay and go, what did I mess up? What am I missing? And, of course, if you ever want me to look at another replay, let me know.